Welcome to another episode of a Pioneer Coaches Special with Mike Kellar. Coach, thanks for being here today.
It's great being here.
So I had your first scrimmage on Saturday. Your just initial thoughts on that?
Well, we operated all right. I mean, there were some things that we need to do better from a procedural standpoint. I mean, we've talked a couple of times. I think we like to compete. We like to play football. Left there relatively pleased with the team's progress. Thought they performed, pretty well after watching the tape. I mean, there's so many things that we need to clean up, on both sides of the ball. Got behind the chains several times on offense with procedural issues or snaps or missing blocks or dropping passes and got off schedule, so to speak. And then defensively, they allowed us to complete the third down, get the conversion. So that was bothersome on both ends of the both sides of the ball. But all in all, I thought it was a good first scrimmage. I've had those first scrimmages, and I told the team this where the team looked totally inept, and we end up having great seasons. So it's playing football. It's the only way you get better at it is by doing it.
Yep. Both sides had some stints where they both looked pretty good. Was there, a certain side that looked better than, the other certain times?
Nah, I didn't think. I thought it was a lot of good give and take. Of course, I knew when the ones are going against the ones and the twos, and when you're watching it, you may not, who's going against what and what we're trying to get accomplished with the drill or what situation we put them in. So, but I thought it was a good competitive scrimmage. I really liked. We had some really good runs. I thought we threw the ball and caught the ball for the most part, pretty well. I thought we played well up front. Defensively, we're fast, we're veteran. We run the ball pretty well. So I thought all of that was good. I just told them, you're not going to beat the teams on this schedule, especially who we're opening up with and all that, if you play behind the chains on offense and you can't get off the field on third down on defense. So those are the things that we need to work on. And since the scrimmage, we've had a couple good practices, and hopefully we've closed that gap a little bit more, and we're chasing it every day. I know that.
And you talk about the good runs. You've run 3 running backs who all, I don't think it's a stretch to say that they could start anywhere in this league. How do you plan on utilizing those guys?
Well, that's a good question. What we're talking about as a staff. Generally speaking, you got a 1-2 punch, and then you got a guy who's a third down back. This has been, just whoever, let's just play them all three. It's camp, we're trying to see who can do what. They've actually really kind of, they've worked really well together, when I'm a little tired or a little spent, put my hand up and let the other guy come in because they trust each other. So that'll be part of our, that'll be a work on progress, the early part of the season, to see exactly who could handle the workload, who kind of gets a role if I'm good at this and he's good at that. And so, early on, we're going to play them all and see how it shakes down as the season goes on.
Is that something you look at in recruiting, I want to get 3 backs who can play, or does it just happen? It's I got to find a way to get these guys on the field?
Every high school team, man, they put their best player at running back, so our entire secondary, a lot of our receivers, those guys were all high school running backs, so I think good teams always have backs. Our successful teams that we had at Cal those years, we had backs get hurt during camp, and we brought DBs over, and they rushed for 14, 15 touchdowns a year. It was every team should have a lot of good running backs. I would imagine every team we're playing against has a bunch of good backs.
Has it,
But no, and it's probably the most physically demanding position, so you need a lot of guys because you get banged up there really quick.
We're 2 weeks into camp today. You're 10 days away from your first game. How do you feel, or where do you feel the team is as of right now?
It's got to grow some. It definitely has to grow some. We got we've kind of got an idea now more than we had 2 weeks. As much as you think going into camp kind of sets itself up. Okay, this kid came back in this type of shape. This kid's really good at this. This kid improved since spring ball. This kid's not as good as I'd hoped he'd be, or not as ready as I'd hoped he'd be. So camp really kind of helps you ID that. And then you take those last couple weeks, those last 10 days, to really get your lineups right of, okay, when we go in this set, this is our best lineup. When we got, in this situational package, this is our best lineup on really in all 3 phases of the game.
Do you feel like as of right now, you kind of know where some guys are going to plug in, who's going to play and stuff like that?
Got a good idea for sure. There's still some jobs that are being battled for, and you got to build your team for the course of the season. Camp is really designed to get you ready to play 11 games. So even that, we had a couple of scrimmages where we just took the bottom third of the young group and just scrimmaged those guys so we could develop that, not just for next season, but for maybe this year, with a lot of them. So we got a good idea. I think every team, every coach in America should have a good idea what his team is at this point. But there's still a lot of butts out there.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for watching this special of Pioneer Coaches Show.